Good evening once again. My name is Jonah, and I'm excited to host you on the second edition of Round Table Talk. Yeah, Round Table Talk. We had the first edition in December 2020, and we tagged it Repositioning for 2021. And what that was all about was we basically we were looking at how to um, get people or get the participants started for 2021. And basically, we're looking at how the environment shapes us and puts us in a mold which gradually affects or begins to determine unconsciously how we do things. And I got fantastic feedbacks from that session. Um, Today we'll be looking at something else, which is an offshoot of what we talked about in December, and we're talking about the paradox of choice. Yeah, the paradox of choice. Basically, we'll be looking at two perspectives: making choices when you're faced with career decisions and in relationships. You agree with me that on a daily basis, right? We um, have to make choices. Yes, on a daily basis, we have to make choices, and we are products of the choices we make. However, before I dive into the introduction and every other thing we'll be talking about today, I want to appreciate everyone that is on this call. I'm very, very excited having you on this call this evening. I'm having some notable persons. We have a guest, yes, a special guest, Chioma Owonko. She's joining us from California. I have Miss Pa joining us from Cameroon. Thank you for coming on this call, for coming on this, for joining us this evening. I have Ahmed, very, very good friend of mine. I have Gospel Cookie. Gospel is the head of security, Daystar Power, West Africa. Yeah, a very, very good friend. I have Bolaji on the call tonight, and it's going to be explosive. I have a lot of resource persons that will be contributing tonight, and I want to believe, and I believe, yes, I believe that we will glean so much from what they'll be saying this evening. Now, back to the introduction. When we talk about the paradox of choice, we all make choices. Second by second, minute by minute, we are making choices. We are making decisions. So, and we are definitely products of our decision. What you are today is definitely a function of the choices or the decisions you have made in the past. Now, like part of what we posted out there, we said life will not stop because we are unable to decide, neither will it wait for us until we make our minds on what to do. And there's this common saying that says, time waits for no one. Yes, time waits for no one. And one of my mentees posted and he said, we are all products of our choices. And I tell anyone who cares to listen that instead of blaming people for the results that you're seeing in your lives, you better take responsibility, because while people may have a huge part of wherever wherever you are right now, yes, a lot of persons may play a big role in wherever you are right now. You have the ultimate decision in making the choice. Yes, you might come around people that will say, hey, I think you need to do this. I think you need to do this. Irrespective of what they tell you to do, right? At the end of the day, you are responsible for the choices you make. You are responsible for the choices you make. So we'll be diving in this evening. I'm not just going to be the one talking. I'm just anchoring this session this evening. And first and foremost, I will just be throwing out the questions, and I want to believe that it's going to engineer the conversations that I'll be having this evening. Great. So I'm thinking, based on my experiences that I've had in the past, I've been in situations, right, where I've had to make decisions, and where I had to change jobs. I've been in a situation where I had to change jobs. And I remember clearly, I was moving from company A to company B. Company A was a very big company, and company B was, well, I didn't have so much information about company B. And I was it was a critical decision for me, because I was going to be taking a lower pay. And the question I was asking myself is, yes, I've always wanted to move, but at this point in time, I want to move, but they'll be paying me lower. it was a big decision for me, and I had to consult, I had to meet friends, I had to meet mentors, and at the end of the day, I'm glad I was able to make the right decision at that point in time. Now, we'll be trying out our first question, and we'll be asking Chioma to help us address this. All right, so Chioma, I believe you can hear me. If you can hear me, can you say hi to the house?
Hi everyone, thank you very much, Jonah, for inviting me to the round table. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And so back to, can you all hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, Chioma.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm back to the question, right? How can one still make a valid choice without an unpleasant consequences? I mean, hello? Okay.
Yeah, you can go on.
Getting some feedbacks there, okay?
Yeah.
So I think basically, making choices is not, it's not an easy thing. Taking any big decisions can be very stressful, very frustrating and tough. But then it now boils down to, for me, when I'm making these decisions, right, it boils down to asking myself what I really want, right? So this is the first thing I just consider first, and I'm always conscious, ensuring that you're conscious about this choice, because sometimes most of us just, we just walk, we don't think, we are not conscious of the decisions we're making. So one of the ways pleasant consequences is ensuring that you're asking yourself if really the choice you're about to make is what you really want, right? So this is like the first thing I normally put to myself and ask myself what I, in making my decisions. And then the second question I definitely want to ask is definitely want to ask people in the industry. For example, I'll give a typical example about when it comes to career, right? I remember when I first got my first job here, I had a lot of choices to make, and it was tough. I must tell you, it was really, really very tough for me to make these decisions, because I think I had about 3 or 4 offers. And remember, I don't even know the terrain, right, that I'm going into. Fine, I might be very consistent with the industry I was going to go to, but then these companies and how they work, and then how it works was also an issue for me. So one of the things I was able to pick out in terms of lesson learned was that asking for advice, right? Having people in that industry, or just networking, or like having people in different industry to be able to ask. For me, to make, right, one of the things that worked out for me was that I knew at least one person in those industries that I could actually, like, I have this thing facing me and I need to make this decision, but I'm very confused. So they were able to give me, what they think about this decision I was going to make and all that. So now the next thing I did actually was, now having heard from these people in the industry, like, the network I had, the 3 people that were in this industry, what I did was, now I actually brought out an Excel spreadsheet, because this was big for me to be able to make this decision. It was life-changing, right? I had thinking about it.
Hello? I think we lost her there. If you can hear me, can you still type 111 in the chat box? Sorry, I'm back. I lost connection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So where did you miss me out on? Or do you?
Okay. Yes, you were talking about the persons you met in the industry. You had to you got out an Excel sheet, and you had to put down some points.
Yes. So like I said, what I did was, because I was very conscious. I knew what I was going into, right? And so these were things I had to do to be able to have a clearer view. You know, some of us are just not, you know, like visual. So for me, I'm a very visual person. I want to see these things, right? Having spoken to these people, and these were like what they said. I came back, you know, with my notes, had an Excel spreadsheet, laid it down, and then I looked at the pros and the cons. So one of the things that would definitely help you in making some of the choices, you know, good choices, is ensuring that you have a mentor. Having a mentor, no matter how it is, it's very, very valuable, because they would help you to like, they will help to tailor you into, you know, depending on the industry you are in, for, you know, to be able to make some of the right decisions if you want to. So having a mentor, being very conscious, you know, questioning your motives, this would really help you break it down, you know, to be able to take the decisions you want to take. Friend, and the choices were like, for me in the industry, right, were great choices. So it was really very difficult. So it wasn't like, oh, immediately you know, okay, I'm not going for this particular company based with
All right. Apologize for the undulating network, but I think I was able to glean from what you said, Shoma. Basically, certain things came out clearly. One, having a mentor, right? And also understand the fact that you said you're a visual person, right? So in making decision, the first thing you want to do is do an analysis of what you want, an analysis of the outcome. Very, very profound. Yeah. Getting out an Excel sheet to put down your points. Okay, I want to make a decision between A and B. What will A offer me? What will B offer me? And you begin to look at it. Then one thing that came out clearly from what you said is your ability to question your motives. That is powerful. Your ability to question your motives, because the moment you cannot tell the truth to yourself as to what you want, then you are on the pathway to making the wrong decision. Yeah, you're on the pathway to making the wrong decision.
Very,
you're on the
very
pathway.
correct.
If you cannot tell yourself the truth, and a lot of us, I think the worst thing you can do to yourself is to lie to yourself. Yeah, the worst thing you can do, anybody can do to him or herself, is just to lie to yourself. If you lie to yourself, then, sorry, you're done for. Now, thank you very much for that. I'll come back to you. But I'd like to hear from Gospel Cookie. Like I said earlier, Gospel is a very good friend of mine, a senior friend of mine. Yeah, I respect him so much. And Mr. Gospel, can you just say hi to the house before I throw your question to you?
All right, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Now, a lot of people are faced with several options on a daily basis. And the last thing I want is being in a situation whereby I have multiple options to choose from that look very, very similar and juicy, right? And I'm of the opinion that the more options you have, there's a possibility that you become less happy, right? So no matter what you decide on. So is this true, Mr. Gospel? If yes, share your experience. If no, let's hear from you. Your experience is what matters to us here on the Roundtable Talk. We want the conversation to be very, very experiential. So let's hear from you, sir. Is it possible for me to be less happy when I have multiple decisions? If yes, let's hear from you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you, Jonah. I want to say good evening to everybody that's right here with us. For me as a person, over the years, I've spent 23 years in my career. And in these 23 years, I have made decisions. I've had choices. And like you asked, when there are multiple, when you have many of them, it can sometimes be very confusing.
Yeah.
You know, and the smarter you think you are, the more intelligent you think you are, that's how sometimes it becomes very complicated. You know, it becomes very complicated. And what I mean by that is, by your assessment, I love what Chioma said. Chioma did mention you questioning your motives. And for me, that's paramount. Very, very important to question your motives, because I'm a security professional, and I like to tell you, in investigations, when we conduct investigations and I'm conducting an interview with a suspect, for instance, when I ask questions, I first do my surveillance, and whatever my surveillance gives me as a result, when I question someone or I'm conducting an interview, I try to marry your answers to your motives. I try to understand the motive of the suspect. Do you understand me? Yeah. So when Chioma said question your motives, it's so critical. But for me as a person, my experience has been, over all these years, I had made decisions, I had made choices, but at the ends, I discovered sometimes or most times that they were not the best choices I made. But from the very beginning, it looked like the best. I questioned my motive. My motive was right. Everything seemed fantastic. But at the end of the day, when I begin to make comparisons, begin to do evaluations and assessments, I realized that, oh, that wasn't the best decision. That wasn't the best choice I made. So in moving forward, I learned how to, like I will share with you very recently, I had, like Chioma did mention, I had opportunities where I had two choices to make. Two organizations interviewed me at the same time. Two organizations gave me an offer letter the same time, the same day, and then was going for virtually the same salary level. And deep within me, I preferred one of those organizations because from my assessments, I saw better potentials and possibilities with one of the organizations, and deep within me, I wanted to go there. But because of the past and the experiences I've had, I had to do something I never used to do before. And I just had to go to God in prayer. I know I took out 7 days and I prayed and I just said, dear Lord, in the past I've made mistakes. Sometimes when I think the best decision I'm taking, I just discover it's not the best. And I said, your word tells me that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. And I said, dear Lord, strike off the one you don't want for me and leave your will for me, because I know you know the end from the beginning. I don't know the end from the beginning. I can only assess to a certain extent, but I can't tell the end of a matter from the beginning. So he struck off one for me and left the one that wasn't the choice I would have made. And I felt bad. I almost started complaining. It's like, oh, the other company you struck off was the one I wanted. I saw more prospects there. I saw more possibilities and potentials in there. And I heard the voice say to me, I thought you trusted me. I thought you wanted my will. I thought you asked me. I said, yes, I'm sorry. But to cut the long story short, Jonah, today I discovered that decision I made was the best because God made the best choice for me. If I had chosen that other company I felt had more potentials, from what I have seen today, it would have been another mistake again in my career. But when I prayed that prayer, and then he struck off the one he didn't want and left the one he wanted for me, which as at then, I didn't see it as the best and I wouldn't have chosen that one. But today, as I speak to you, I have grown to know that I do not lean on my understanding anymore when I have multiple choices to make. I just allow the Spirit of God to choose for me. So what I do is I go to God in prayer and I say, look, dear Lord, I don't want to make a decision on my own. Just help me. Just let me know your will and I'm ready to go with your will. And that has put me in a state. I'm very happy today. I'm so happy. I'm so fulfilled in my career that I wouldn't have been as fulfilled as this if I had made my own choice. So it's not really a platform for me to preach. I'm not trying to preach, but I'm just trying to tell you my personal experience. So that is how it has worked for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gospel. Thank you very, very much. What came out clearly, it was your ability to glean or to lean on a higher power, right? That came out very, very, very clearly because truth be told, right? You actually we find ourselves in these situations almost on a daily basis where you are faced with multiple options that look very, very similar, and you're asking yourself, which direction do I go to? And sincerely, it's not all that glitters that is gold. So at that point in time, what do you do? Because at that, because man is limited in all our capacities. You get, we don't know tomorrow. The best we know is yesterday and where we are now. We don't know tomorrow. So I think that is very, very profound in terms of you want to lean on a higher power. You want to ask God to direct your ways. That's profound. That's fantastic. So what I've been able to get from that is when you are faced with multiple decisions, when you are faced and you really do not know what to do, then you pray about it. What came out for those that just joined in, what came out clearly from what Chioma, from Chioma's the conversation we had with Chioma is your ability to question your motives. That is very, very profound. Now, like I said earlier, I have Ahmed Alaga on the call as well. I have Ahmed Alaga. Ahmed, can you just say hi to the house?
Hi, Jonah. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
It's nice to have you.
All right. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for joining us. Ahmed and I have, we've come a long way, right? And I know Ahmed has worked in tough environments, very, very, very tough environments. And I believe he has something to say based on the experiences he has had working in this tough environment. So Ahmed, my question to you this evening is, how were you able to make the choices you made working in such environments? Because I've worked in an environment where I literally regretted ever working in that environment. And 4 months down the line, I was asking myself the question, did I make the right choice? It's literally my productivity went down. It went down, practically went down. I was not myself. And well, I would say, in quote, I was delivered. So Ahmed, can you tell me, how did you make choices when you were in such situations?
I mean, yes, you're right. I have I have worked in some very tough environments, and unlike the last two speakers who have to make most choices before towards something positive, like either accepting an offer. I've had my career had to make choices towards something that was really unpleasant, which is ending uh, ending my employment with the organization I'm working with. And I think for me, consequently, is that I've always rationalized uh, what consequence is. For me, it's like when you pick up a stick. Um, uh, when you pick up one end of the stick, that's the choice that you really made. But when you pick up that stick, you are also picking up the other end of the stick, and that's the consequence of the choice that you made initially. It is normal human desire to want to miraculously be delivered from consequences, and that's the major stumbling block that we tend to first want to cross. So what has kept me through is what my values are. My values are a strong proponent of the decisions that I'm making, such that when I had to make those decisions, I question my values. Like in one of those organizations that I worked, I simply asked myself that with what is happening, does this align to the values that I will stand for? And each time I'm asking myself that question, the moment I begin to get a resounding no, I begin to, put my pen to paper and then make the decision to resign from the organization. It's usually a tough decision. A lot of times, people have always asked me, on all your roles, you've always, resigned without without getting a job. And unlike most people who would rather, wait till they get a job before, then they leave that organization. In my career, for the past, almost 15 years, I have tend to resign first, before getting a job. So it's usually a difficult decision, but understanding my values makes it easy. Once there's no alignment, the decision becomes easy. And therefore, the consequences is clear. It's lighter because it's synonymous to the stick, which represents my value. So when I pick up that one end of the stick, which is the choice, I'm very clear that I'm picking up the consequences, which is a result of my values. And in that way, yes, I'm human. I may not earn income for a couple of months. I may feel bad about it, but deep within me, I am happier. I am excited, and then looking forward to the next opportunity that aligns with my values. And so I'd like to say that, choices don't come without consequences. They do. But the sooner that you align your choices to your values, it doesn't take away that humanness, that part of you that is human, that part that makes you, that part of you that remains after the decision that you've made. And that's the wholesome part that you do not want to lose. If you can get a hold of that, no matter the negative or even maybe positive results that come out as a result of the consequence, it becomes your responsibility, and like, Winston Churchill says, the price for greatness is your responsibility. So for you to be great, you have to take responsibility in the decisions that you're making. A lot of times I've realized, maybe because of my growing up, I'm a corporate hustler. So you find out that as life challenges you and you begin to make these decisions based on your value system, you find that over time, right? Without much analysis, without much, deep thinking, your system naturally begins to tell you, look, this thing is not right. Where this may be going may go down south and it'll be bad for you. You begin to see the handwritings on the wall. And in such a manner, you are then connected to reality and then the choice to make a decision. And by that time, you are making it as a result of your intuition, the handwritings on the wall that you're seeing, and you're putting all that together to decide what to do next. And once that happens, you know wholesomely that the choice you made was the right one to you. And then questions that most people would ask you, so would you rather resign or would you stay with us and see? So it becomes very clear, right? It becomes very clear. So the decision to leave or resign from that opportunity or that organization becomes unquestionable. And as a result, you are left with your values, which is the most important thing with you, and nothing else is stripped away from you from the organization or the choice that you made. And I think with that way, you don't feel too bad about it. I think that's what I would have to say, Jonah.
Wow, Ahmed, profound. Thank you very, very much. What came out clearly is your value system. And if I want to take that back towards if we take our minds back to the first edition we had, we talked about you having a knowledge of who you are. And basically, one simple way of defining who you are is you knowing your values, your values, because that's one simple way to define who you are. You get? I think that's profound. I think that came out very, very clearly from what you said, right? So when you know who you are, when you know what your values are, it makes it easy for you to make decisions. Thank you very, very much, Ahmed. Thank you for that. Now, we've been looking at it from this angle of what do I do, right? when I'm faced with decision, faced with the options of making a decision, right? Now, so let's try to turn the table around a bit. Now, definitely, now I'm throwing this out to anyone on this call, because it's actually a roundtable talk. I've just asked some few persons to speak, but if you want to speak, you can come up and say something, right? Now, there is also this possibility that in the past, right, you've made wrong choices. The question is, how were you able to turn the table around for it to work for you, right? You're faced with a decision to make. You made the wrong choice. How were you able to turn it around? I'm throwing this question to all our speakers and to anyone on this call that will also want to share his experience in this regard.
Can I have a go,
Yes, please.
Jonah?
Yes, please.
I think from my career experience, what I've learned is that whether the result is positive or negative, it's a learning experience for you. You know, that thing they say about, you know, when you Thomas Edison, you know, he couldn't find how to make the light bulb. He failed 99 times and, you know, probably got it right once. And when he was asked, not to make a light bulb, right? So in life, the lessons that we should all seek should not only be the lesson of how to get it right.
True.
Sometimes it is crucial to learn how not to get it right.
True.
Because for you personally, right now, where you are, you have gone through that experience. They say one of the ways that you can scale, like some of the speakers have said, one of the ways to scale fast is to have mentors. The reason you are having mentors is because those mentors have gone through the ordeal and they have learned it, right? So that you don't make the same mistakes. So if they hadn't learned how to fail, you know, they wouldn't have that experience to transfer. So we should treat all consequences, all results that come as afterwards, you know, the aftermath of our choices, no matter how terrible they be, they are a strong knowledge base in your arsenal to succeed in. And not just you as a person, but because we're all connected. So in transferring the knowledge, it also becomes a good tool to share with people. And so for me, that's how I would advise that we take these things that happen that may not go the right way. We take them as right, but would be always be useful to those that you lead, supervise, or even your peers. And you don't know how much hurdle and how much um, you know, getting them out of a problem would be. Like somebody says, you know, Wahala is like a bicycle. Not everybody knows how to ride it. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Mr. Bolaji, I don't know if you have anything to say in that direction before I just put what Ahmed has said. Clearly, what Ahmed is saying is this, right? Failure is actually part of success. So when you see people succeeding, right, just know that they have failed multiple times. They failed multiple times. They have failed multiple times. Now, most often at times, what you hear is the success story, right? You don't get to hear the part where they actually failed. And trust me, the process of going through that season of failure, whatever you call failure, as a result of the decisions you have made, right, is what actually helps you to succeed. Yes, that's actually what helps you to succeed. All right. So, Mr. Bolaji, I don't know if you can say something about what we're talking about. We're talking about have you made the wrong choice in the past, right? And if yes, how did you turn the situation around? Or any other person on the call?
All right, thank you very much, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but a bit faint. If you can speak up a bit.
Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to appreciate the previous speakers because I've been able to capture some fantastic stuff from what they've shared. So great. Thank you very much. What I would just have to contribute on this note is that I think I have few experience, even as a young guy growing up. I remember then when I was in Ibadan, not so long after after I left school, there was an opportunity for me in Lagos, but I was supporting my mom's business. Okay, so I was so emotional about the whole thing, such that I couldn't just break off and then pursue my dream, pursue what is much more expedient for me as a young man. So in that regard, so I missed the offer. I think one or two offers came in at that period, but I was so emotional to make my decision, such that I missed out those things. It was later that it now reoccurred to me. It occurred to me later. So and I learned my lessons anyway. And I moved on, and I was so careful going forward to avert that. Another thing that happened to me, sorry, let me just quickly say that too, was no, my dad is actually this kind of person that he is a big vision person, a big-minded person. He wants things to happen big, like big. So and then he, of course, he likes things to be seen in the big dimension, but he is not actually a perfect coach, to put somebody through to achieve that big thing or whatever he has in mind for somebody or whatever. So I remember then when I got some offer then, and then my when I told him about it, in fact, I regretted sharing it with him. He talk it down and then talk it down. I felt so bad. And this was what I did thereafter. Thereafter, other offers I got, I never told him my salary. I never told him my salary for other offers I got. I left that part of being emotional, and I was intentional to pursue my dreams, to pursue my dreams. And at the same time, I get myself exposed to actually understand, okay, what do I need to understand? What do I need to know in order for me to make this particular decision? I don't really that a lot in my lifetime. Like I want people to just say something, then I will now act, dance into their tune at the time being emotional. So I had to put myself together, and then I was intentional, like whatever it is, this is what I want to get from this thing, and I push for it. I know I will leave my consequence. I don't want people to be part of my consequence. And also I'll not start shifting my blame or start. I want to bear it all myself. Of course, I know the place of mentorship. I can still talk to people that I can trust their judgment. They'll be so objective. But whoever would be emotional or not be objective enough, I try to withdraw my affairs from them. So for me, I've stopped being emotional. I'm now more intentional about my pursuits.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Now, you actually struck a chord there, sincerely, right? Now, you talked about emotional decisions. Very, very, very profound. Now, a lot of us make decisions based on our emotions just because we want to please other persons, not because at the end of the day, the outcome of such decisions actually pleases us. Yes, I know there are situations where you might actually want to shift grounds, right? But there are certain situations where you just need to be objective about what you're doing. Now, it's not how do I say that now? How do I put this down? It's not cast on stone, basically. It's not cast on stone, right? So it's not like I'm saying take that 100% that you must not make emotional decisions, right? But you just need to look at it carefully. You need to look at it carefully. All right, great. Thank you very much for that. I have a couple of other persons here who I would like to speak. If you have one or two things you want to say, you could just it's a sharing session. Just indicate by raising up your hand, and we'll just call you to make one or two comments. Yeah. If you have anything to say, we'll just okay. Basti Daniels. All right. Thank you. You can come up.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, so I just want to contribute what to do when you make a decision and you realize your decisions or your choices they failed. Growing up, I used to be a very excited person, and by excitement, I'm a creative. So once an idea makes sense in my head, I just jump at it. And before you say Jack Robinson, I realized I've hit the rock. So, but what growing up, I've learned to do better. However, this is what how I've handled my.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go on.
Okay, so growing up, this is how I have handled wrong decisions. Number one, I have learned not to blame people for my decisions. It's like the most important getting back process for me. It is not to point accusing fingers. It is to understand that I'm the driver. I'm the one on the driver's seat, and I was the one that make the turns. And at every junction or every wrong junction that I made a turn. That's the first thing. And the next thing is to forgive myself. Of course, I've gotten myself at this point, and I take responsibilities for them. However, I try to forgive myself because there's no moving forward unless I forgive myself. And like one of the speakers said, the next thing I just do is to analyze the situation and see if there are lessons that I could learn from, the journey I just took myself through. Then I just make progress from there. However, the most important thing is to ensure that I do not stay there, because beyond all the mistakes and all, or the wrong choices and all, there is still so much to be achieved in the future. So the most important thing for me at the end of the day is to ensure that I get out of that zone and see how much progress I can make from there.
Wow. Thank you very much. Taking responsibility and learning to forgive yourself. Yes, truly speaking, there is no one that will come out clearly and say, I've never made a wrong decision in my life. I want to believe that we've all made wrong decisions in careers, in our relationships, in various aspects of our life. Now, I think the issue is not making a wrong decision, right? I think what we need to do is, when you make a wrong decision, you just need to find a way to bounce back. I think that's the interesting part of it. You just need to find a way to bounce back, right? And just get it right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bassi. I saw another hand there, Joseph Onioso. Do you still want to speak? Just for the records, we have...
Thank you, sir.
Okay, all right. Sorry, before you go on, Mr. Joseph, I'm trying to keep this up to...
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right, go on, Mr. Joseph. Okay. We can't hear you.
Yeah, all right. Okay, thank you. I enjoy keep doing the right work, sir. Thank you, sir. I just want to make comments.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, I was just about saying that I intend to actually keep this within the hour, and in the next 10 minutes, we'll be at the top of the hour, and we'll be wrapping up. So within the next 11 minutes, right, I just want to recap all that has been said. It's been a profound session. It's been insightful. It's been great. I have learned. Definitely, I have learned. And I want to say that a whole lot can actually come out of this. Yes, a whole lot can come out of this. Now, I'll just do a recap from our first speaker, Chioma. She mentioned that in making decisions, the first thing she does is try to do an analysis, right, of what options are available to her. Then she tries as much as possible to question her motive. That is so powerful. Questioning your motive, important. Never you ever lie to yourself. Tell yourself the truth. Never you ever lie to yourself. Tell yourself the truth. Do not lie to yourself. Question your motives. Do you really want it? What do you want? You have to know what you want. Those points came out clearly. Then we also moved on to Gospel Cookie, and he talked about how you need to rely on a higher power when you are faced with multiple decisions and you really do not know what to do. For Gospel, his major point was take it to God in prayers. Profound, fantastic, because the truth is, it's only God that sees the ending from the beginning. Yes, you take it to God in prayers. I entirely encourage us to do that when we are confused. And we spoke with Ahmed, and what came out clearly from Ahmed's speech was you need to know your values, your value system. What are your values? What are your values? Truly speaking, a lot of people do not know their values. You need to know your values. And when you align with your values, over time, it unconsciously helps you make decisions. It helps you make decisions easily. So we need to determine our values, define our values, and it helps us make decisions. Then we spoke with who did we speak with again? Okay, Ahmed also came up to talk about how you bounce back when you make the wrong decisions. And what also came out clearly was failure is part of life. And truth be told, whatever you see as success out there is multiple failures put together, because when you fail in a particular thing, what it means is you have learned something. You take what you have learned and you put it into the next endeavor, and you just discover that you succeed. So everybody you see out there who has succeeded, just know that the person has failed multiple times. He's an embodiment of failures. So do not ever see, when we want to hear your success story, don't think success stories are just sweet stories. No, it's just an embodiment of various aspects of your failures put together that is making it look as if, yes, the person has done so well in life. That came out clearly. And we had Bolaji who said, in making decisions, right, you don't need to attach emotions to it. Well, I don't want to drive that too hard, because I've also written a couple of things about that in terms of making decisions emotionally. Now, there are some persons that do not know how to say no. Now, I think there was this book which I saw years ago, which is how to say no and not feel guilty. Right? Some people, they tell you no, and the next thing is they are guilty because they've just said no. Right? Sometimes you just need to say no and don't feel guilty. All right. In terms of making decisions, as much as possible, you need to look at it very well when making decisions. Yes, let me not drive that too clear, because it's not cast on stone. I would say that it's not cast on stone. Then we had Basi Daniel speak, and he told us about bouncing back when you've made the wrong decision. First thing is you take responsibility for your actions. That is profound, because most times some persons want to blame others for the decisions they've made. Like Bolaji clearly said, you said sometimes you meet your mentor for advice and he says, I think you should do this, you think you should do this. The person might not be objective. The person might be advising you based on what he will benefit from the decision you're about to make, right? So if eventually you make a decision, take responsibility, forgive yourself, and find ways to bounce back. Indeed, it has been an interesting session. Now I'm going to give room for questions. Questions. Do you have any question? Do you have any contribution before we make it a day? Questions and contributions, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Well, it's been an interesting evening so far, and I've learned a couple of things. But well, this topic has been when I saw the topic, I was excited actually, because I think for me personally, usually making decisions, well, there are some decisions that are easy to make, and there are some that are really, really a tough nut to crack. But my question this evening is, okay, there are some decisions that are not, let me say 100% is either a yes or a no. You're just in between. you're in between. It has to be either a 60-40 or, a 30-70 kind of decision that you have to make. Let's say, for example, you've put in so much into something, either an organization or something, either a business or something, and you're in between, maybe because of someone else's selfish behavior, and you're in between. It's either okay, let me just use the example of a company. It's either I quit working for this company, and then you look at the so much that you have put in, like for so many years, the so much you have put in, that you know that a little bit of patience would actually in the end give you some kind of benefit that it's actually worth it. But at that particular moment, you are, you're so tensed, you are just at the verge of I just have to let go. So if you're in a critical situation like that, that you weigh the pros and the cons, and man, if I end up leaving this company, it means I've wasted like 60% uh, of my time, my time and everything. But if I, play some more patience towards this, just maybe I may get to that point. So if you're caught up in such a situation, what do you do?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That is a very, very practical question. So I'm throwing it to our speakers, Choma, Ahmed, Gospel. Okay, Gospel, please. He's raising up his hand. Please go ahead, Gospel. Sunday, I see you. Sunday, Longe,
Okay,
thank you very much for coming on the joining us tonight. I'll get back to you Sunday. So Gospel, I'm with you, please.
Yeah, okay, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I mean, I found myself in a situation like that. I was in an organization and I had put in so much time, so much effort, and then so much, absolutely much. So the situation was turbulent, absolutely stormy, and almost unbearable. And I would say it was unbearable. For me, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I couldn't do nothing. So I had to take a decision. And I quit. I had to resign and I had to leave that organization. Eventually, at the long run, I discovered that indeed patience and perseverance shall conquer mountains. And patience and perseverance does conquer mountains. Because after I left the organization, it wasn't more than 6 months, the storm ceased, the turbulence ceased. All those things that gave me reason to leave, they all ceased. And I realized I should not have followed my emotions. So the lesson I learned from that is I don't take decisions based on my feelings. I keep my feelings aside when I want to take decisions, especially like you said, in situations that are tough and you've put in so much. I will still go back. If I'm confronted with a situation like that, I'll still go back to God in prayers. And I'm like, dear Lord, I can't take this anymore. I want to throw in the towel. What do you advise? What should I do? Because I know that a lot of times, that was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life and in my career. And I will never forget. I will never, never, ever forget. If I had waited a little longer and if I had prayed, the storm would have passed and maybe God would have given me the grace to bear that situation until it passed. And then I would have enjoyed for the rest of my life. It would have just been a payoff and I would have cashed out all through. But as soon as I threw in the towel and left 6 months later, it was a place I wanted to go back to. I couldn't. There was just no way I could have gone back there. And then it was a big lesson for me in life to realize that patience and perseverance does conquer mountains. But sometimes patience and perseverance could get situations worse So what I do is, what do I do? My emotions are telling me, walk out, walk away. And then I just go to God and I just say, "Dear Lord, you need to help me here because by the way I feel, this is what I want to do. But my feelings may not really be the best." So I just take that decision to pray about it and ensure I don't make mistake because I had made that mistake before. Thank you.
Wow, Gospel, thank you very, very much. I think that was just so much on point. Thank you very much. I don't know, Ahmed, you have something to say? Mr. Ahmed, are you answering the question?
Yes, Jonah. I don't know.
All right,
if you can
please
hear
go
me.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me know. Have you heard of the boiling frog syndrome?
Yes.
Okay, you know what it says. Like if you put the frog in water and you gradually increase the temperature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just continue to increase the temperature. The frog's body temperature adjusts to the water until it gets to the point that it is boiling, and then it is too late for the frog to jump out. Patience is very important in this phenomenon. However, I would always like you to go back to what is important to you, what your values are, right? I'll give you a good example. So I've worked very hard for an organization. I built it up from scratch to finish from the point I became a director at the organization. And things were not going the way I was seeing it, and that was also affecting my emotion. However, I was very clear as to what I would stand for. The moment it got to a point where the organization's actions or whatever that was happening or whatever the CEO was doing was beginning to contradict my values, it was very clear that I had to go. So for me as well, is asking yourself what is important to you, right? What is important to you? I've always told young people that the moment you walk into an organization, plan your exit as well, no matter what, right? Once you sign that contract and you come in, know exactly when and why you should leave, right? So it's knowing exactly what your values are and then asking yourself, as to where we are now, these are the things that I strongly stand for. Because, you know, once you begin to work at the level with which I think you were saying is that you work to a point where you're working for money, and then money, you're working for money, and then again, you get to a point where your name begins to work for you, right? So at that point in time, you have probably become an industry expert, and then there are certain things that you need to stand for. Those are the things that may be important to you, and then these things may be conflicting. And so if they become conflicting, they become a core reason why you should make that decision. I've seen organizations, especially in other parts of the world, where people stuck up with the organization. They knew that what was happening was wrong, but they did not make a decision to speak up against it or to do something about it. And then when the long arm of the law came, everybody was indicted. So sometimes you really need to ask yourself that big question, right? Where you are clear, this is not about how I'm feeling, right? I'm upset and I'm angry, but I, as a person who works for this organization, what do I stand for? The activities that has happened that is making me feel the way I'm feeling, is it conflicting with my values? Because there's no point working somewhere where there's misalignment between your personal mission statement and the mission of the organization. You will not be happy working in that organization. You'll wake up every morning feeling like a huddle. You want to work somewhere. So it's a win-win. The mission of the organization must sync with your personal mission as well, right? So it all comes down to your value as well. So you need to ask yourself critically, what's important to you and what do you stand for, you know.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. What came out clearly is still boiling down to values. What do you want? Have you gotten to the point whereby the organizational values or the organization mission or vision or the direction of the organization is no longer in alignment with your values? If you've gotten to that point, then you may just necessarily need to check and see if you still want to stay in that organization or not. There are several answers to the question Philomena has raised. But I think if you want me to contribute to this I think you put everything together you've heard. And above all, you might just need to ask God to say, hey, God, here am I again, help me. Because I think that is the ultimate. But everything they have said is profound and key. All right, Mr. Longe, thank you for coming on this call tonight. I'd like to hear you speak. I guess that's a question for us.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Sunday. I can hear you.
Everyone that has contributed to this discussion. It's been a rich discussion, and I'm glad that I'm part of it. We are a product of our decisions. No doubt, what you are today is a product of those tiny, tiny decisions, those big decisions you have taken in the past. One thing I must like to comment and say is that the speaker who spoke about as the person of gospel, the higher power, the God factor. I think just recently I had to make some big decisions, and at this level of my career, personally, I believe that those kind of decisions are not some. When you have gotten to a level of becoming a senior manager in a company, and because you don't like what is going on, you just want to make that decision. Like the last man spoke about, Mr. Ahmed, I think that is very profound. Not making those decisions based on your emotion, because all decisions that is made based on emotion, you will live to regret it. I have seen that happen again and again. Like he mentioned, he felt he could go back. I was going to fall into that pit, but I thank God for the supernatural. Sincerely speaking, sometimes you just get into that situation where you feel I can't take this anymore. This is contradicting my value system, and you don't just want to make that decision based on feelings, because at the end of the day, is that what God really wants? Because I believe everything that happens, wherever God positions us, is a function of the lessons He wants us to learn along the way that will build us to make us a true product of every decision is guiding us to take.
Absolutely.
So when we go back to Him, yes, when we go back to Him and say, what are you saying about this? Sorry, I don't want to, I'm not preaching. I've had a privilege to preach on choices and all of that, but the truth is you cannot separate the man from the maker in terms of decision making. He understands, he knows tomorrow, like Jonah mentioned, the one who knows tomorrow, the one who can see into the future, the one who sees the end even before it started. You want to rely on your maker to really guide you when it comes to making tough decisions. And I think I'm enjoying it. Recently, I had one, I was discussing with my pastor after church today, and I told him that I had so much peace because I imagine you qualified for a position, you want to apply for the position, and God said, this is not what I want for you. And you just had this inner peace, and you are not even fighting yourself. It's a big decision, but imagine if I was restless because it was an opportunity, a very big one at that. And God said, this is not what I want for you. And it settled it. So I think the God factor, really, the one who knows tomorrow, because there are decisions you make to recover from it might be very, very, very difficult.
True.
Yes,
true.
you may recover from it, but the time it will
lost.
take. Yes. I see it as a setback, a very big setback for every wrong decision we make. Imagine the journey that would have taken you because wrong decisions were made. Each time you go back to learn, and I bless God for their lives, and I'm glad I was part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. Just for the record, Mr. Sonny Longe is a senior manager in Mayor & Baker, I think the head of quality. Thank you for coming on this call. You can see we have quality persons on this call they are full of experiences, a lot of experiences. Thank you very much. That was profound. Thank you very much. Okay. That brings us, I want to believe that it has been an interesting session. I'm so excited, far better than what we had in December. And I can see we have about 26%. Everybody stayed till the end. But the target was to start by 7 and end by 8, but we're a little bit behind our schedule or the time allotted for these round table talk. Thank you for joining us. I just want to mention that in the chat box, I'll be dropping the link to my very first book. Or you can just chat me up privately. That's my email showing there, askme@aqueduct.org. If you want to purchase the book, the title of the book is Dining with the Enemy, dealing with emotions and all that. So that's why I really did not want to dive into, because I have a lot to say when it comes to making emotional decisions. I didn't really want to dive into that because that was not the focus. But I think we've heard from our various speakers and all. Gospel, your hand is still up. Ahmed, your hand is still up. Is it? You still have something to say?
No, Jonah,
Okay.
nothing more to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Chema, your hands came up. You have something to say. Okay, I'm going to give you just 3 minutes, Chema, just to say something.
Okay, so what I just wanted to say, for me, what I'm getting out of this has been very, very valuable for me.
Okay.
The thing I'm taking out of this is that your value system. And I realized that truly, when your value system actually determines what is important to you.
True.
And so when you are in conflict, that means you're not fulfilling your value system. So you lose your peace. And I was just thinking why Hamid was just talking, and I'm like, that is so true, that once you are not at peace, that there's a conflict, there's this congruence in your mind, you understand? So it makes decisions very difficult. But once you align with your value system, taking decisions becomes very easy.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that contribution. Wow, I'm just so excited because it's getting better. And we're going to have Roundtable Talk 3.0. I've decided we should do it every 2 months, right? So that we'll have enough time to plan, to get people to talk to more people to join. We're about between 18 and 20 when we had it in December. Now we're about 26, and I believe it will grow. And surprisingly, we'll be having a very, very important conversation in the next edition. All right, so I saw this comment. I have a friend that just joined the World Bank, and she posted something on LinkedIn, and here it is. It says that professional, ambitious women really only have 2 options when it comes to their personal partners: a super supportive partner or no partner at all. Anything in between ends up being immoral and career sapping morass. So I asked her a question. Will you be interested? Will you like to talk about this more? I'll be getting a lot of ladies on board. So let's talk about this. Is it true? Is that what it is? What are the options? And I think I'm going to come out with something around this, and that's what our next conversation will be. I'm of the opinion that marriage should not suppress you and not make you succeed. I'm of the opinion that if you marry someone, if you get a partner, right, it should enhance you in life. So that's what our next conversation will be all about. And I believe a lot of persons will want to hear what people have to say and glean from it. All right, that's just me introducing what we'll be having next on the Round Table Talk with Jonah Eromo. All right, thank you everyone for coming. I have a couple of persons on this call that's going to put a summary, that's going to summarize all that has been said, right? And come up with something that we can call, say, maybe a white paper that we can share with all of you. I have your emails, but if you're here, you joined and I don't have your email, you can just drop your email in the comment box and most likely your phone number as well, so we can reach you and inform you about the next roundtable talk that will be coming sometime in April. All right. On this, I want to say thank you, everyone, and have a good evening. God bless you. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jonah.
Thank you, Gospel.
Thank you, Jonah.